Hi, I'm Sara from the ticketing team, and I'm going to talk to you about sleeper train, some of my favourite sleeper train routes and some absolute must-have tips for making the most of your sleeper journeys. In the last year, I've taken quite a few sleeper trains. They're one of my favourite ways to travel. You can cover so much distance and do it while you're sleeping. It's just really efficient and comfortable. I took the Intercity Metropol, which goes between Budapest and Prague, so that I could visit Christmas markets in both cities. This is a really interesting train because the daytime version of the train only takes 7 hours, but to make it worth a sleeper train, then they've added a little stop between the stations so that the train takes long enough that you can get a decent night's sleep and not arrive at some crazy time in the morning. Another one that I took is the Prietenia Friendship Sleeper train between Chișinău in Moldova and Bucharest in Romania. It's called the Friendship train because it's an important link between the two capital cities of the two countries. It's an ex-Soviet era train and they haven't really changed the cabins since. You're like travelling almost in a bit of a train museum. It's also a really interesting train because Romania and Moldova use different track gauges, so they have to change the bogies of the train at the border, which they have to do carriage by carriage, hoisting each one up, switching it out, and then rejoining the whole train before you continue in the next country. Inside the carriage is pretty dated. It's actually a rare sleeper train because the two-berth cabin doesn't have bunk beds. You are both on the bottom level, which is quite a nice touch. And then you've got pretty vintage tablecloths and curtains that really complete this historic feel, and a little table to go between your cabins. I recently took the Intercity Notte, the sleeper train in Italy, from Turin to Bari. I boarded the train at Turin Porto Nuovo station just after dinner time, and it quickly whizzed off into the Italian night. The train, while you're asleep, will go through all of northern Italy and then passes its way down the coast, all the way down to Puglia. I got off at Bari, but the train continues on to Lecce. So I had a one-berth cabin all to myself. I had a bed with like a really comfortable mattress. It comes with everything you need, like blankets, sheets, pillows, everything. This train, they do give you a breakfast in the morning, but it's not so much of a breakfast. It's more like a collection of snacks, which is really handy for your onward journey, but it's always nice to bring a picnic or something a little bit fresher. If you want a bit of an early start, then you will be absolutely rewarded for getting up a little bit early. If you wake up around about Ancona onwards, you can watch the coast whiz by and it's just stunning as the sun is rising. Or if you want a bit more of a lie-in, then don't worry because the views as you're going through like rural Puglia, through the olive groves, through the vineyards, as the sun's coming up, are just as stunning. I'm going to give you some tips about how to really enjoy your sleeper train journey as best you possibly can. My first tip is to be clever with your packing before you get on the sleeper train. Anything that you're going to need for the night time, like your pajamas, your toothbrush, anything like that, but also anything you're going to need for the next morning. Like if you're going from a cold place to a hot place, you might want a different type of clothing, or if it's raining when you wake up, make sure your umbrella is to hand. You'll really thank yourself when you're in the sleeper train and everything you need is at the top of your bag or easy to find and you're not having to unpack your whole case in quite a small space. My next tip is to always take an eye mask and earplugs. There's emergency lighting, there's if the sun rises early, people might be talking, or just sometimes the train can be quite creaky. And you don't want these things that are so small to ruin your sleep and ruin your journey. So take an eye mask, take some earplugs, and you will sleep much better. My next tip is if there's two of you traveling, decide who's going to take the top bunk before you get onto the train. If you have a two-berth cabin, it's really common that you're going to have bunk beds, and the top one you're going to have to climb up a ladder to get to. So it's usually better to decide who's the best person to take the top bunk. Personally, I think it's better up there. You don't have as much disruption, you get better views out the window. But if you get up quite a lot in the night, then maybe you're better off on the bottom bunk. Another tip I'd say is to always take snacks with you. While a lot of sleeper trains will provide breakfast, and some even have dining cars or at least somewhere that you can grab a snack, you never want to be unprepared. My next tip is to be ready to exit the train, so fully packed up before you get to your final stop. Quite often, your final stop might not be the train's final stop, so you might only have a matter of minutes to get off of the train. Best thing you can do is once it gets to the stop before yours, make sure everything's packed and you're all completely ready to leave, so all you've got to do is hop off the train when it pulls into the station. My final tip is that once you do arrive, drop off your bags at the station, or often hotels nearby will let you leave your luggage, and then head into the city and explore. Quite often, your sleeper train's going to arrive in the morning and you might not be able to get into your hotel until the afternoon. So instead of waiting around, then make the most of those precious hours. There's usually lockers at stations and you can leave your luggage and go off and get your first taste of the new city that you've arrived into by finding yourself some breakfast. So thanks for listening to all of my tips about sleeper trains. If you want to know more about sleeper trains and what you can expect if you have a sleeper train in your Byway trip, then head to our blog, which has loads more information on everything you need to know. And if you want more beautiful overland trip inspiration, then make sure to sign up to our newsletter. It's sent out every Sunday morning and is full of more wanderlust than you can imagine.